welcome back to the Feel Your Feelings podcast. My name is Victoria Makanjuola, and I am joined today by Shania and Mujeebat. They are two lovely young ladies that I met virtually. We've never met in person, but we met during a UNICEF side event that I was invited to, and I watched both of them present at the event. So, ladies, Shay and Mujeebat, I'll let you guys take it from here. Please introduce yourselves and let us know where you're from and how old you are.
Hey, hi guys, my name is Shania Vensel. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Houston, Texas. Yeah, I'm really interested in art and sociology and honestly like anything creative and anything that has to do with the community. But yeah,
Hello, my name is Mujeebat, and I'm also 17, and I'm also from Houston, Texas. And like Shay, I really love art, and I'm really interested in policy and most most especially analysis, like just analysis of like things are going on in the like world.
That's awesome. And how are you ladies feeling today? Because I ask everyone who's on the podcast how they're feeling. So let us know.
I'm feeling good. I've had a pretty stressful week, I would say. But yesterday evening and today have been good. So I think my mood is definitely has been better. Even though like so much has been going on, I'm in a good mood.
I'm really similar to Shay. A lot has been going on for me, but feel calm. Today was really amazing. I was able to like go out, have fun with friends, and explore like the city of Houston because there's so many parts of it that I just so happen to not know.
That's awesome. And I'm feeling great as well. It has been a pretty busy week for me as well. It's Friday tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to the weekend and just chilling. But yeah, it's been busy, but that's just kind of the life of a creator. You know what I'm saying? So you guys are in Houston. I'm in Dallas actually. And that's one thing that really kind of drew me to you guys was like the Texas connection. And I went to high school in Houston briefly before moving back to Dallas. But one thing that I wanted to ask you guys, because I know that Mujeebat, you're part of the mayor's youth council, and actually, you both were talking about CFCI, which is Child Friendly Cities Initiative. But I want to know what you guys' his experience is on the mayor's youth council, and can you explain like what CFCI is and how you both got involved in it?
I could go first and basically explain my experience with CFCI and also how that led me to being involved in the Mayor's Youth Council.
Mm-hmm.
So CFCI, as mentioned before, stands for Child Friendly Cities Initiative. I got to know about it because of my school counselor. I've always been that person who wants to get engaged in my community. However, because of the location I'm in, it's not really a place that's accessible to many of the resources I need. So immediately, my counselor had an idea of this initiative and was thinking about who to present it to. He contacted me and he told me to sign up, and I signed up and I got in. I remember I did it the day the application was due. It was 11:59. I submitted mine 11:58. So far, I've been in CFCI for about a year, and essentially, we've just been focusing on the needs of the youths in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
not only in Houston, but primarily just youths in general, because our main objective is to recognize solutions to the problems at hand. And because of that link, or I would say because of that, I was able to get in contact with people who were directly involved with the Mayor's Youth Council. And the Mayor's Youth Council is more centralized to people in youths in Houston. So being a Houstonian, obviously I've gone through a lot with like resources and lack of them and obviously the need for them. And I've been able to like advocate for the people in my districts, people around me. And what we do for the Houston Mayor's Youth Council is essentially just create community engagement projects and service learnings. And I'm just gonna like summarize everything. I'm gonna give it to Shay so she can basically
For
summarize what I
sure.
said.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I guess like bouncing off of Mujeebat, I joined CFCI, I guess. I think it's been like exactly a year. Like I joined around March. And I actually found it because my my mom sent it to me. She was like, this seems like something you'd be really interested in. And I was. So I applied and I got in, and it's been a really nice experience, and kind of I guess expanding on what MJ said, there's different like committees as well. So, there's a mental health committee, which is what I'm part of, and then there's a emergency preparedness committee, and then there's also a youth participation committee. So it's really just like trying to kind of meet and be aware of all the needs of youth. And I guess like since I'm part of the mental health committee, I could talk a little bit more about that. So basically, with the mental health committee, we do a lot of workshops, presentations, and just to spread mental health awareness. And we are also hoping to release trainings or um, meetings or more workshops in the future. So yeah.
That's awesome. I really admire both of you guys' involvement in this initiatives. Particularly, you were talking about mental health, and the topic that I was kind of really interested in talking to you guys about was like the teen girls mental health crisis. So I found this statistic from the CDC. From okay, so it was CDC's 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and it showed nearly 57% of teen girls felt persistently sad or hopeless, and 30% said that they have seriously considered dying by suicide. And that percentage has risen nearly 60% over the past 2 years. So I personally thought this was shocking. And I was like thinking, like, well, I'm gonna have Shay and Mujeebat on. Like, can they explain in like 3 words? And I know I asked you guys about this beforehand, like how you guys are feeling, honestly, being high school students and being teenagers today.
I would definitely say a big word for me, and I think that's something that a lot of other people would relate to, is like burnout. There's definitely a lot of like pressure, and like I don't think it's normal for like teenagers or people this young to be experiencing burnout already. Like there's a lot more expectations placed onto us, and as the years go on, like the expectations only get higher. And I think that's just because like the pace of like the world almost, because like at one stage you think that just like middle schoolers are like they're just like having their time of their life, but then I look back and middle schoolers now are already like, oh, I need to do this and this and this, so like whenever I'm in high school I can do this and this and this, and
Yeah,
then I can add
it
that to
keeps
my
going.
internship.
Then in
Yeah,
college, so I can get this job.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's so sad that like the race to like succeed in life has started like so young already. So I think this is way more than 3 words.
okay.
But yeah, and to be fair, the statistic, although while it is really sad, it's and it is shocking. I mean, but it seems almost like I can see why, like,
Yeah,
like that percentage is there. And especially being in the high school environment, a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I see and speak to, lots of people are going through a lot of hard things, and lots of people like reflecting, like I found the statistic, are very mentally ill, and it is really sad to see. But I guess that's just like the truth of like how you are, like what youth is facing right now. But yeah.
totally. Thank you for answering that. And Mujiba, if you feel comfortable sharing, like what's been your experience like with mental health?
So I think I'm just gonna piggyback off of what Shay was saying. Uh, just to answer the question you had earlier, the 3 words I feel like I currently feel or like is something that I am experiencing are normalized, ready, and concerned. I say normalized because I feel like it has become a continuous cycle to go through these problems and have no resources for them. My involvement with mental health came primarily because of the fact that I had no avenue, no haven, and because of the fact that I know there's a problem, I feel like that connected me to becoming ready to challenge the unjust systems that we do have and are something that are currently being experienced by not just me, but more or less every single person in the world. And I say concerned because of the fact that these experiences are becoming normalized. Like, I don't feel like it's healthy to have sorry, I don't feel like it's healthy to have these issues and recognize them as a problem and still have no solution to them. I feel like mental health is really
Mhm.
important. My involvement in mental health has been really extensive. I've gone through different experiences. I know to a certain degree I've gotten so many different emotions from just being involved in mental health, like advocacy. And I know that through experiences like this podcast and the ones I'm in through CFCI, Houston Mayor Youth Council, there is change that is going to happen. It might not be immediate, but I know there's something out there. I know it's going to be like out there. And I'm just really ready to challenge this system we have. And I feel like mental health is an important like topic that we should expand on. And the stigma associated with it is something that we really truly need to fix because issues are not supposed to exist because like they're just not supposed to exist because we're so like brilliant, we're so smart that we could figure things out. And I feel like it just takes like an initiative. And one of this initiative is things like this, talking about it, being aware of it, speaking out, using your voice. Because one of my main things I always tell myself is my voice matters and that it will
Yeah.
always matter.
Yeah,
It will always matter. So
Mhm.
that's
yes.
right. That's right. I love that. And I want to talk about I want to talk about solutions before we jump into you guys' post high school plans because I know y'all have big dreams and big aspirations, but you talked a little bit about not just talking about it, but having solution based action based goals, and that's something that I'm also trying to get better at with this platform, not just talking about how I'm feeling or feelings or mental health, but actually creating action based or actionable things that people can do to help themselves, you know? So, what things come to mind when you think about how young people can take action I guess, lower that rate of sadness that the CDC is talking about? Like, what ideas or what would what would you suggest?
So firstly, like I just want to like emphasize how it's important to be the change you want to see in the world.
Right.
I'm gonna just talk about like my experience with mental health and how that is the solution that I am pursuing. So I know like in my school we have absolutely no counselor for mental health. And I remember going through so many difficult times coming to school, still having to be a better version of myself despite knowing that I am not. And I know that that was a truly difficult time I had just because of the fact that I had no resource. And I think I'm going to emphasize this throughout the whole podcast, but
Yeah.
it's important to have resources for mental health. These are things that I feel like are the bare minimum. I feel like even having just like a pamphlet that has a description of what depression is, what anxiety is, what ADHD is like important. Like it's just knowledge. So how I went about this solution is that I created a council in my school that primarily focuses on mental health. I know like in my school, for example, we have counselors. Of course we do. But
Yeah.
it's not a
Every
mental
school
health
should.
counselor. Yeah, it's not a mental health counselor. It's an academic counselor.
Yeah.
It's counselors that ask you about your grades, counselor that ask you what's your
Career
GPA,
counselor.
what's your rank. But
Mhm.
it's never someone that actively says, "Are you okay? What's going on?" So I created that mental health council that essentially focuses on these kind of questions. So what we're primarily doing is surveys. Another thing that we're doing is in person. I feel like I'm really surprised by the fact that I'm here speaking on a podcast, being an advocate, because I remember like 4 years ago, because it's been 4 years since I've been a freshman, where I would just walk into the hallway and feel like nobody knows me, felt like I was invincible. I felt isolated. I felt like I didn't have a voice. But part of an initiative that we're trying to focus on is that we're trying to emphasize is focusing on the individuality in people, making them understand that they matter. So we would have like circles where we just talk about your mental health, and there is always going to be that one person who's introverted. But I feel like my definition of being introverted is that you feel as though you have nothing to say. So what I do in response to that is ask you, "Hey, Shay, what are you feeling right now?" If you
Mhm.
don't want to talk about it, it's fine. You could just say two words, one word. as long as you have a response, that is an initiative that you're taking that you obviously didn't take beforehand. So I feel like finding things that focuses on you, that's something I want to emphasize a lot, is that you have your own feelings and they're valid regardless of any surroundings you're in, any environment, because you are who you are. So initiatives like that, like focuses on you, finding that one person who's willing to put themselves in a situation whereby they would be willing to listen to other people talk, be the kind of like facilitator in a
Mhm.
discussion,
Yep.
and then social events, because most of the reasons why like we teenagers tend to feel the way we feel is because of the fact that we kind of like put ourselves in a bubble every single day. It's like school home, school home. There's never really anything different about it. Like even if we do go out and have fun, we more or less still revolve around the thought of like we have to go back to school, back to home. So social events that primarily relieve you of stress, like we do mental health like advocacy, in terms of like we have like one that we're planning where we invite dogs to school, our school, and dog lovers like just experience that kind of like change in the cycle you have, like something different at school, something different at home. And I'm not going to talk extensively. I know Shay has to talk too, but those are just the initiatives that I have, something that breaks the cycle that you already created for yourself and releases you from the bubble that you created for yourself, and just essentially branching out, because it's okay to think outside the box, it's okay to live outside the box, it's
Mhm.
okay to live.
Mhm.
And
No,
that's
yeah. I mean, you're like your answer was so
I
like
know. I'm
empowering.
like shook right now. Like, okay.
I was like, I feel like
Oh.
inspired. But yeah, but I think when it comes to maybe solutions that I could think about, one thing that I do want to say is that while there is a lot that you can do and you can take in your hands, it is also important to recognize how much is out of your hands too
Yeah.
sometimes, and it's not like everything that you're going through is like a direct reflection of who you are as a person. And I think it is important to realize that there are like systems in place that like continue like cycles of like students and or youth or minorities to feel like constantly under pressure and stress. So like, like for example, like model minority myths. So, where you constantly feel like you have to live up to that standard. Like, so there's things that are in place that are not, like in your control. But I think for when it comes to what you can do and like taking your own initiative, um, in terms of just to like keep it simple and like just to like give yourself happiness, like something that works for me a lot is kind of similar to what MJ said, is like connecting with other people. And even though that can be really hard, I think sometimes just pushing yourself and talking to the one or two people that you feel very comfortable with, or at least just doing small little things that make you happy, or trying to realize like small little happinesses in your life and really like prioritizing them. I think that like sometimes we have like we forget like we just have like the freedom to do like anything. So I'm just like sometimes I'll just be like really stressed and I'll be like doing like homework and I'll be like I'm like, but then I'm just like I could literally be like listening to any music that I want right now. I could be like eating
Mm.
anything that I want right now and then like wearing any clothes that I want right now and then be doing my homework and still be happy. So I think it's just like for me at least what personally helps is just doing like small little changes in my environment. Um and that seems to help a lot because sometimes really big changes or really like long-term changes can feel very overwhelming to start. But just like as small as like finding small joys in life or like really enjoying nature and the air whenever you step out. Like I know it sounds really like cliche and corny, but like
No,
it
it's cool. It's
truly,
cool.
no, yeah, it like truly does help. And at least like that's what works for me. Because yeah, I just like starting with the small things is a pretty big solution actually. So
I genuinely feel so inspired by you guys right now. I have a million more questions, but one thing I really am curious about are what are some of your post high school plans that you care to
Um,
talk about?
okay, so I could start. For me, I'm currently a senior, graduating in 2 months, and my plans post high school is to continue what I'm already doing, which is making use of my voice. I'm not sure at this moment where I'm gonna be because I feel like creating a destination for yourself isn't something you should be doing, rather creating a journey.
Yes. Right.
I know that my journey involves advocacy,
Mm-hmm.
it involves human rights, and
Mm-hmm.
it involves essentially being an active member of my community. I plan on majoring in political science and public policy, depending on where I
I
go
minored in
to.
political science
That's
for
so
undergrad.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But depending on where I go to and what it's called, I want to be involved in policy. And I know for me, my personality actually is someone that likes being in the background. So I want to do a lot of research. I enjoyed being researcher. I enjoy writing. So I want to be a policy analyst, essentially just creating like a whole like documents or just analysis on like a certain policy, doing like the investigation. I think it's just like a combination of all my interests because I like investigating, I like writing, I like being in my own comfort zone, which is being like at my own like pace, like working on
Mhm.
at my own pace.
Mhm.
But all of these interests of mine just revolve around being a human right activist. And yeah, that's essentially it.
That's awesome. What about you, Shay?
I'm still a junior, so I don't have like too specific plans, but just in general, I like MJ said, I would love to continue this work. I also would love to continue doing art. I think I want to do sociology, but I'm a very like hands-on person, so I want to be like, in the communities, like directly doing work, like like getting on my like hands and feet and like doing work, whether that be like helping like cleaning up environments or going like door to door and helping people, but just that like face to face like connection. And because of COVID, that's something that I haven't really gotten to experience. And because I'm still young, I don't kind of have like the freedom to just like go around and be doing things. But it's something that I really do want to do, like whenever I'm older, like be part of very hands-on things. So
Yes.
yes, but also like maybe I think I was talking about this to someone else earlier this week, like creating maybe like activism based art. It's not something that I've done before because I feel like I'm still like growing with
Those
my
are
like
really
art.
cool.
Yeah. And so
Did
I
you
feel like I'm
create the
still
art behind you?
I created this. I mean I'm still working on it, but these two
That's
are like our
awesome.
posters.
It looks
Um
great.
thank you. But yeah. So maybe getting into that. I don't know. I have a lot of plans. I am like a really big thinker, but
Sure.
something combining or also doing like sociology and art. Yeah.
Well, you guys have plenty of time. Someone told me that when I was a freshman in college, and it really took the load off of my shoulders. So you guys have plenty of time. For someone who's listening to this who wants to be a change maker but is unsure of how to get involved, what advice can you give them?
I think that it starts really, really small. Like I was saying, like you can literally just like wake up one day and choose to do it. And I think that we've failed to realize how small the world is. Like if promise you, if you go into like one volunteer organization, you will like very easily
Yeah.
find like connections and paths to like other things that you would love to do. Like I joined like CFCI, but then there's also like a there's also more opportunities related to nature, and I really like nature, and I didn't even know these things like existed. So really just like stepping out of your like comfort zone or just like doing like one small thing or just even it's really nice that there's the internet now. I feel like you could literally just search and be like blah 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 interest
Yeah.
volunteering
Yeah.
and then
I
you
do that
just
a
find like
lot.
yeah, so yeah, then you just find like a whole web of things you want to like do. And I think that something else that's very cool that with social media now that you can do is like just create like infographic posts about things that you're interested in. And people do take a notice to that. But I think like if you want to be very like active, the easiest way is to like just joining an organization and finding where seeing where that takes you. But yeah.
Okay, so for me, I'm just gonna piggyback off of what Shania said and just say, put yourself out there. These opportunities are numerous. They're like multitude of opportunities out there. However, they're not gonna come to you. You have to actually pursue them. That's something I realized. But the thing is that once you pursue the first one, everything else just keeps coming. Like it's just gonna be like a whole rotation of like opportunities. You're gonna have networks. It's like a whole spider web that you create once you put yourself out there. And I feel like comfort zones, as much as I like try to be in my comfort zone, I feel like it still does not exist at the same time. It's all just a mentality and mindset because you don't truly have a comfort zone.
Sure.
You create a comfort zone. And I feel like you could, no matter what fear you have of joining something that you think will make you a different person or make you act differently, or just like something that makes you introverted to extroverted, it's like it's a mentality and you could do it. Recognize the potential in yourself and then pursue something that you really want, because there is absolutely no one in this world that does not have a potential. Like every single person is worth it. Every single person has a skill, and your biggest skill that you think that doesn't matter to most actually does matter. But it matters when you feel confident about it first. So love yourself first before you try like doing things out there. I don't know, I kind of like changed the direction of what I was saying, but you know,
Yeah, I
you
was
have to
really
first
thinking that.
love yourself first and then start doing things that you love.
That is like literally crazy
I
because I was
know.
literally thinking as you were saying that,
Mm.
I was like, you like being kind to yourself or like self and personal growth is something that will
Self-love.
really like help you because the kind of, and I don't know if I sound like hypocritical saying this because I can beat myself up sometimes. But like
Yeah, I
being
get you.
kind
I
to
definitely get
yourself, yeah, and like being kind to yourself and kind of like allowing yourself that like leniency is the best way to like show other people kindness too. Because whenever you become like normal with you just being who you are and accepting yourself with your flaws, it's way easier to do that with other people. So like creating change in everyday day-to-day life, like, you know, really just starts with like just taking small little steps to like liking yourself a little bit more
baby
or just
steps.
accepting you. Yeah, baby steps. Yeah.
I love it. I'm soaking all of this in. I love it. Thank you
And no
so much.
matter like, I was gonna say, no matter how cliche it sounds, like saying to love yourself, like how am I like, and like if anyone's like questioning how do I love yourself, it starts by just thinking about it. Like I feel like just reflecting
Mm-hmm.
matters. Like sometimes I just stay in my room, I'm not on my phone or anything. I just think about what I want my life to be. Like I know sometimes you get tired of these questions at school. What do you want to do in 5 years? What do you do in 10 years?
College
And
too.
you respond like in the most basic way ever. But I feel like once you actually think about it and sit down, then you start beginning to know what you have or don't have or what you truly do want to have. And I feel like just spending time for yourself and then like realizing who you are, because I do that too. Like I go on walks every single day, just like taking in nature because I love nature too, Shay. And
Not
I
to
just like
even not to
reading.
even cut you off, but that was a perfect segue into my next question, which was what do you guys do for fun? Because I know the work that you do is pretty serious and y'all are
Yes.
about your work, but you're teenagers, like what do y'all do for fun?
But I feel like I just answered the question. Like I like
Exactly.
walking. Like I get tired easily. Like I breathe like really like heavy and all, but I feel like I love walking and then just like taking in nature. My
Mhm.
favorite part of like the world is trees, because I feel like trees are like a metaphor for who I am, because despite how many leaves fall from them every single day, they're still able to stand strong and still look beautiful. Even the ones without leaves look beautiful, meaning like your flaws are what make you beautiful. Like that's how I just always like connect myself to trees. Like I just love trees because I'm like, this tree has been here for 20 years, 30 years. Even though it doesn't have leaves, it's still strong. It's still standing. And I feel like I love looking at that and reminding myself of the fact that I will have obstacles. I have flaws, but I'm still strong. I'm still gonna be someone who has a goal, and my I'm gonna pursue my goal. But that aside, what I do for fun, I love listening to music and I love just being on my phone. I feel like I love talking to my friends. They're like people that are interested in what I'm interested in. So it's just like fun conversations, and I love that. I love people.
Okay, I see the
Yeah.
timer. I see the timer on here, so I'm gonna let you go. Shay, go ahead, go
But
ahead.
yeah. I feel like I've already mentioned this a lot. I love doing art, and I don't know, like I don't know. This sounds basic, but I'm literally just like doing like art so much of the time, and it's just like even if it's just not super like Vincent Van Gogh, like super fancy painting stuff like just like doodling in my like sketchbook or collaging things together. I It's a really big stress reliever for me. Listening to music, like MJ said, I love like finding new music artists. It's such a nice way to express yourself. I wish I was musically talented, or else I'd make like songs all the time. But yeah, I also like nature, like the earth is so beautiful. I respect and love Mother Earth so much. So yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for such a wonderful conversation. You guys have such bright futures ahead of you. And I just want to sincerely thank you for joining me on the Feel Your Feelings podcast. Um, so I just want to do like a quick speed round or like fun questions for you guys. What are three of your favorite book or podcast recommendations that you can share?
Cool. So I just pulled it off my shelf. It's a book called So You Want to Talk About Race. And it's a really good book. I've reread it like at least like twice. And I think that it just has a really like interesting perspective. I think that the book was originally like written for white people in like society to understand more about the struggles of, like POC, or like specifically Black Americans in America. So it was really like interesting for me because like although I do understand the POC perspective, it was still really eye-opening and more in depth for me about like what Black people experience more. And although I do see, and I don't think that I'm like completely blind to it, there's obviously like I'm not Black, so like I'm not experiencing on that on a daily basis. And I think that I read this in like 2021, so it was very like close to a lot of like Black Lives Matters issues and things like that. So it just helped me understand the situation of everything better, because that's not like an open conversation or something that I was taught a lot about. It's just
Yeah.
more of what I was like observing. So yeah, it was really interesting and eye-opening to me. And I think that it was really like empowering to just because it talks a lot about standing up for yourself. So as a POC, it was really empowering for me to be more bold in my voice and speak out against microaggressions and things like that. So I feel like it is a really nice book, and I like it because it's not in a very like blaming way, but in a more like educating and like mindful way, but not also sugarcoating. So
Who is the
I
author?
it's about, oh my God, I really hope that I'm pronouncing their name right, but it's by Ijoma Olu. I don't
Oh, wow. She sounds Nigerian.
she might be. I feel like she did talk about that. I think she is. I think she's half Nigerian, half white or
Okay.
something like that.
My dad is from
I'm not
Nigeria.
completely
Yeah.
sure. Oh, cool, cool. Yeah.
I
What
just
about
realized I was muted, but I'm also Nigerian, so I think that that just
really?
like, yeah, I am. But for me, I just have one book recommendation and one podcast recommendation. A book that I did read was Debating the Civil Rights Movement. I read this a while back, and I don't know why, but it's still something that is engraved in me because
What was the
it's
title again?
debating the civil rights movement.
Debating the civil rights.
So I love reading and like listening to things that are like opposite of what it seems, I guess. Like I love knowing the in-depth like analysis of something, which is kind of like related to my major, also like understanding what truly is happening. So debating the civil rights movement was understanding what actually came to play, what the role of the government was and the role of the people, and essentially what they both contributed to what we know today as the civil rights movement.
Mhm.
And for a podcast I do listen to, it's called Left, Right, and Center. It's honestly just something that reflects who I am. I like to be neutral, and I believe that civility is something that needs to be like emphasized in today's world. Like you could have political conversations with people even though they have different beliefs, different values. It's like we are people, we are human regardless, and it's okay to have a discourse, like it's okay to have disagreements, but how you choose to engage in that is something that I think that's important. So left, right, and center is understanding politics from all three perspectives. And I think that I listened to it a lot recently because I'm almost graduating. I'm about to go to the real world and I like to truly know what's happening.
That's awesome. And you're listening to something that is helping you go into that direction that you want to go into. So it's like in alignment with that. So that's awesome. I'm all over the place with podcasts. Not too far, but just more like self-help, personal development type stuff. So yeah. Okay, so where can my listeners find you guys? Are you guys on social media?
For me, yes, I'm on social media. I'm primarily on Instagram. I started using Twitter recently, but it's a little confusing for now. But Instagram is where I'm always at. My Instagram is G Mujeebat, which is a G in front of the my first name, and that's basically it. And I always just make sure to post and repost things that are important in our society, and I post about myself too, so that's really interesting.
That's cool. Thank you. What about you, Shay?
Yeah, I don't use my personal Instagram too much, but if you did want to follow my art journey, I have an art account at sv.jpg. Yeah, I almost forgot. So ESBY dot JPG. And then as to like learning more about like CFCI, or if y'all are interested in that, I would say the mayor's office of education, or just the mayor's office website, is a great place to just learn about all the programs that are going
They
on.
also have an
Um,
Instagram.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
On
mayor's
Instagram?
office of yeah, yeah, yeah. The mayor's office of education has an Instagram, but not
Yes.
CFCI specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are great ways to find more and also get involved. It's really easy to get involved in this, by the way. You just like I feel like you
CFCI, I just wanted to put this in, but CFCI does have a newsletter and it's always updated by our very own program manager. I forgot to mention her throughout the interview, but Lara, you're the best, and she truly is. She's supportive, and is a person that we truly need in this society. Someone that genuinely is interested in what you're interested in and how they could help you develop it without caring about like what they have to gain from it, but just genuinely caring about you. And that's something that revolves around my like whole conversation earlier about focusing on you. But yeah, our newsletter we do have for CFCI, and you can subscribe to
yes.
that if you look at the mayor's website too.
Oh
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
big yeah,
I'm
yeah.
that in my description. Shay, did you have something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, continuing with MJ said, big shout out to and Laura. She is like an amazing program manager. She's like such a lovely person. Oh my God, I love Laura so much. And she is like the reason I think I've gotten this far and stayed this motivated
Me too.
on this journey. So yeah, I feel like it's important to shout her out. And also like thank you, Victoria, for giving us this opportunity. This has been so wonderful.
It's
And
my
just in the past few weeks, like planning everything and like meeting up and just like talking to you
honor.
has been wonderful. You're so
Back
sweet
and
as
forth,
well.
back and
So
forth. Oh my gosh, I'm like intimidated by y'all. This is get crazy. Like, I know like we were talking about the teen mental health thing and like teen girls being sad, but like just talking to you guys, I don't feel that like at all with you guys. And I think the last question, if you don't mind me asking one more question for you guys, is should more be done about the teen girl mental health crisis, or will it always be there, you think?
I think that personally, it will always be there because we always have a feeling and our feelings will never go away. And it's okay to not be okay. It's something I always say all the time. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to experience your emotions. However, there should still be resources put in place to help you lessen those emotions because I know people feel it on a different scale,
Mhm.
different level, and
Mhm.
it'll be great to have different resources to kind of like put things to a minimum. But the only way to truly be happy, truly feel your feelings is by focusing on them yourself.
That's right.
no. Yeah, yeah. As same as what MJ said. I do think that like, like as being like teenager, it's a really like changing like part in your like journey of life. So I feel like there will always be that like, weird like feeling and all like stuff like senses of like anxiety and depression because you are like, learning a lot about the world. So yeah, but I like MJ said, it's important to have those resources and the support systems to fall back on. And that is something that we heavily need to fall back on. And I think partially a reason that it has gotten so worse is just kind of almost like stereotypes, like like teenagers are always like emotional and like it'll get oh like that's just something they'll
Stigmas,
like
yeah.
yeah they'll just like pass over time and like things don't just go away, like you have to put in the work to change and like to support youth. So yeah, like it's important to continue doing work and it doesn't have to always be like painful or sad or grim. It can be very like happy as in just like rejoicing with your community. But yeah, it's very important to put in work and teenagers are still like I think we forget that teenagers are still like children. Like we're closer to being children than we are to being like experienced adults. So I feel like it is really important to show us, like love and compassion and be slow and easy with this because we are still growing and learning a lot. And just because we are like starting to look like adults doesn't mean we are adults and know as much as adults do. So it's important to be patient and really work with youth and show patience and love. Yes.
Awesome. I love that. Keep being you. Like keep doing what you guys are doing. And I really appreciate your time here. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for giving us an outlet to just talk about our experiences, be further advocates that we already are. Like, it's just so amazing that you have this platform. And I really do hope that you understand how much this means, not just to us, but to people who are listening to us. Like, it's amazing. Like, I wish I had something like this whenever like I was in like need for like direction or something, but thank you so much.
For sure, for sure. I create this for like the younger version of me, for sure. DJ Khaled said something interesting too. He was on the Jennifer Hudson show talking about his new album. And he was talking about what Shay said, like when you're sad, like don't stay in it. Like you can lean into it, but don't lean too far into it. Like make sure you have a way to come back out of it. So y'all are spot on. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Thank you. Bye.